Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to talk about the new patch that will be coming out next Wednesday, patch 9.17 for Teamfight Tactics. So we'll take a look at the classes and origins first. The first class is Assassin, and Assassins are getting a rework. And this is what the new description will read. So their innate passive is that they start at the start of combat. Assassins will leap to the furthest enemy. So that's already something Assassins are doing, just the description is changing. And what's really changing for Assassins is that now they'll gain bonus critical strike damage and the chance to critically strike as well. So when you have 3 Assassins on the board, you'll get plus 75% critical strike damage and have plus 10% crit strike chance. So right now, the default crit strike chance for all the champions in the game is 25%. And this means Assassins will now have 35% chance to crit. And they'll do less damage than they're doing right now. So right now with 3 Assassins, you get, I think, around 125% crit strike damage. That went down to 75% because now they have 10% extra chance to critically strike. And now when you also have 6 Assassins, which is something that's rarely played right now, most Assassin comps are usually just 3 because 6 Assassins are just not worth it. When you have 6 Assassins, you do 150% critical strike damage for your Assassins and have 25% additional chance to critically strike, which means 25% default chance plus 25% additional chance is 50% chance to critically strike, and that's a big deal. That means 1 and 2 attacks, the Assassins will critically strike and they'll do additional damage, which is great. Even though the critical strike damage went down, having the extra chance to critically strike is much better. And I think this rework for Assassins actually is going to make Assassins more playable up to the point where you will have 6 Assassins on the board, because right now 6 Assassin comp is just not a thing. No one ever does it because it's just not worth it. It's just not good enough. The incentive is not there, and 25% chance to only critically strike is just not enough right now. So definitely now this gives us more incentive to actually go for full 6 Assassins like before, because 50% critical strike chance is definitely not a joke. That's 1 and 2 attack, you're critting, and definitely the Infinity Edge, for example, is going to be much more viable, because the Infinity Edge, for example, is not very good if your champion never critically strikes. So I think if you build Infinity Edge and you go for 6 Assassins, this new comp will be very, very strong in patch 9.17. So we're going to have to keep an eye on the Assassin comps. And Phantom Dancer may become more viable, more popular, because right now the Phantom Dancer is pretty pointless. Even though it dodges all critical strike chance from your opponents, which is great because you will never get critted, there's just not much incentive to use it. Also, with a lot less players using Assassins right now, I think we'll definitely see more Assassin play for sure from next week when this patch rolls out, and we'll probably start to see more Phantom Dancers in play as well. The Yordle origin is getting a buff. So Yordles gain a chance to dodge enemy basic attacks, and the chance to dodge the attacks went up. So when you have 3 Yordles, it's 35% chance to dodge. At 6 Yordles, it's 60% chance to dodge. So it went up again. Especially when you have just 3 Yordles on the board, it's even higher now. 35% chance to dodge is pretty high. It's close to 40%. So, you know, you're going to be dodging a lot of hits there. And 3 Yordle synergies will still be more viable than before with this new buff. And once again, if you have 6 Yordles, 60% chance to dodge is quite high. So maybe 6 Yordles will kind of come back. But I'm not sure if 6 Yordles will still be a thing like it was before when the game was first released, because of the sorcerers and demons. Sorcerers and demons still like to chew up Yordles, even if you have this chance to dodge, because you only dodge basic attacks, not the active skills. So 6 Yordles may not be as viable still if sorcerers are really prominent and they're very common. Right now there is a lot of sorcerer players out there in the meta. They're quite good as well. So, you know, just 3 Yordle synergies may be stronger now with this new buff. Finally, the Noble origin is getting a nerf, and I saw this coming because a lot of players are complaining about just how strong Nobles are, and now this is going to be the new Noble's ability. At the start of combat, select allies gain 50 armor, 50 magic resistance, and heal 25 health on hit. So everything went down by 10 points. It used to be 60 armor, 60 magic resistance, and 35 health on hit, which was, I guess, a little bit too strong if you did have 6 nobles on the board. This will just essentially make the 6 nobles even weaker, and it might not even be viable anymore. It might not even be worth it at all, because 50 armor, 50 magic resistance, 25 health on hit, it may not just make the cut to actually have you put in that effort to go for 6 nobles. But once again, of course, if you had like a 2-star kill, you lucked out and you roll into 2-star kill, 6 nobles would still be amazing. But 6 nobles also would like to have some more damage, because 6 nobles by themselves don't have that kind of damage. So usually you have somebody like Jinx or Draven in your team comp, but they got nerfed as well. So I think the 6 noble comp definitely will be a lot weaker, and we'll definitely stop seeing a lot of these players trying to force nobles from next week at patch 9.17. Now let's talk about the items. The first item we'll take a look at is the Hextech Gunblade. This item is getting a nerf. Basic attacks and spells heal the wearer for 25% of the damage dealt, so it went from 33% to 25%. I'm not exactly sure if this nerf was needed, but I guess there were some builds that made champions really strong with this item, but you know, this item wasn't really on the top spot anyways. I'm not exactly sure if this nerf was really necessary, because I personally almost never built this item. I'm sure some other players have, and they found a very strong build, but you know, it's not something that I was always worried about when I was facing against this item. But anyways, it's getting a nerf because apparently 33% of the healing was just too strong. The other item that's getting nerfed, which is similar, is the Bloodthirster, and instead of giving you 50% of the heals back when you deal damage, it is getting reduced to 40% of the damage dealt for healing. So we're losing 10% on the healing for Bloodthirster. This item was certainly very good on a lot of carries, especially someone like Draven, and it would just make Draven, Rengar, or Jinx, those kind of champions survive a lot longer. This item was also very good against comps that ran a lot of sorcerers, and with lots of sorcerers in the play, I felt like this item was very good for a lot of these carries. And now we're losing 10% of the sustain on this item. There's only a couple times I would say the Bloodthirster felt like it was overpowered. When someone rolled into the perfect Draven comp with the right items, perfect items of Draven with Bloodthirster. Yes, he may never die, but you know, Draven also did get a nerf as well, and honestly, he was really the biggest issue with the Bloodthirster item. I can't really think of another champion that really was a problem with this item. I think this item was mostly fine. It was mainly Draven with the right comp that was a problem with this item. So once again, I'm not exactly sure if I agree with these two items getting nerfed like this, and I'm afraid the sorcerers may come back and start dominating the meta in next week, but we'll have to see what is going to happen exactly with that. Now let's talk about the champion buffs and nerfs. First of all, Swain is getting a nerf. I'm not exactly sure how he's getting nerfed, but I'm guessing it's going to be in terms of his damage that's going to be going down. I did notice that Swain was sometimes a little bit too strong, especially if you had a 2-star Swain or even a 1-star Swain with the right items. That guy was just destroying like every comp. He just would not die, and he was kind of a problem. So I do agree with this. I think Swain did need a bit of a cutback, and I totally saw this coming, and so he'll be getting a nerf. And then we have Jace, who's getting a buff. He's probably one of the weakest shapeshifters right now, and he's kind of in an awkward situation where there are a lot of items that don't really work with him. Him transforming into the Mercury Cannon form and he gets range feels really good because he knocks somebody back, stuns, and then he does a couple powerful attacks with high attack speed, but after that he just attacks way too slow. He doesn't do enough damage. He's not really tanky. He's just a very awkward champion after he transforms and uses all his Mercury Cannon blasts. So I think Jace getting a buff in some ways is going to definitely help him out for sure. I'm not exactly sure how he's getting a buff, but he definitely will be getting a buff for the next patch. And then Nidalee is getting a buff as well, so her mana cost to transform into a cougar went down to 85. So instead of 100, it's going to be 85. She's going to be transforming a little bit easier. I've noticed definitely for sure shapeshifters right now are not in the best spot, so a lot of shapeshifters are getting buffed, including Shyvana as well. And Shyvana is getting a big buff here on her Dragon's Descent. So first of all, her mana bar to transform into dragon also got reduced from 100 mana to 85, so it's gonna be faster for her to transform. She will also do a large amount of extra damage once she turns into a dragon. So at 1 star, she's going to be doing 250 instead of 200, and then 2 stars, 375, and at 3 stars, she'll be doing 500 damage. So she'll be doing extra damage when she becomes a dragon and she goes into that range form, and it's going to be easier for her to transform because her mana bar got decreased to 85. So Shyvana definitely is going to get a big buff, and I think there's going to be definitely more playability for Shyvana, and the Shyvana carry might be coming back. She might be very dangerous when she comes back, and we'll have to see exactly what's going to happen in the next meta, of course. And next we have Lissandra. So her mana cost is going way down now to 85. She's also getting 50 more health points. At level 1 now, she's going to be 500 health points instead of 450, so she's going to survive a little bit longer, and she's going to be able to cast her spell a lot more because now it's only 85 mana instead of 120, which was quite a lot for Lissandra. And I think this buff definitely was needed because Lissandra is definitely one of the worst champions in the game right now. So I'm glad to see Lissandra getting a buff for sure. And finally, Leona is getting a nerf on her stun duration on her Solar Flare. Her Solar Flare at 2 stars is going to be reduced by 1 second. So right now it's an 8-second stun, going down to 7 seconds, and at 3 stars it's also going down to 9 seconds. So she's going to be stunning for slightly less shorter duration here with her Solar Flare. And I think her Solar Flare stun duration was a little bit too long. Sometimes that stun definitely would cost you some rounds where maybe it could have won you if your champion was ready to fight in another second. So I'm glad to see Leona definitely getting a nerf on her Solar Flare here as well. Finally, we're going to be getting Pantheon next week, of course, so be excited for that. He's a Dragon Guardian. His ability is Grand Starfall. Pantheon leaps in the air, crashing down towards the furthest enemy, stunning them for 4 seconds. That's quite a long stun duration, by the way. At 1 star, at 2 stars, it's going to be a 6-second duration. Enemies in Pantheon's path take 30% of their maximum health as magic damage, which scales to 40% at 2 stars, 50% at 3 stars. They then burn for an additional 20% of their maximum health as true damage over 10 seconds, preventing all healing. So basically, he has Grievous Wound, and he has like a Morelos or red buff function with this 20% maximum health burning over 10 seconds. And he does a lot of area of effect damage, and he stuns the furthest champion away for 4 seconds to 6 to 8. So his Grand Starfall ability is really powerful. It does a lot of damage, burn damage, and does a little bit of stunning at the back. And not only that, he's a dragon and a guardian, so if you have another dragon, he's going to have 83% magic resistance, and he's going to be able to give Guardian Shield with Braum or Leona. I think Pantheon is going to be a fantastic champion when he comes out. Definitely a really good champion. For sure, he's going to do a lot of damage, some crowd control, and I feel like if you give him the right build, he isn't going to die with that extra magic resistance, and he can also gain armor from Braum or Leona once you have the Guardian Shields up. So I would like to see exactly how strong he's going to be in the next patch, but I predict Pantheon to be really, really good, and he's going to be sought out for by a lot of people. And he's just going to have some kind of carry build. I just know that's not going to let him die because of his great class and origin. It's a very good combo, and his ability is just so good. So we're going to have to see exactly how strong Pantheon is going to be. He may need a nerf after next week. But once again, nothing is set in stone from what I just showed you guys today. Anything can be still tweaked until next Wednesday. That's really, I think, when the patch is going to be coming out. But let me know what you guys think about the buffs, nerfs, and Pantheon that's coming out for next week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, guys, remember to leave a like on the video, and I'll see you guys next time.